957-6063.
Ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
Fantasy Sports puts you in control of your own team. The Nick Monsanto Show is proud to present the Star Fantasy League Show. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprung, co-hosted by SFL CEO Zach Stanley and SFL COO Seth Young. The Star Fantasy League Show, on the air.
Make this game your finest hour.
Now,
You're up.
Hello and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show here on the Sports Byline USA Network. I am your host, Jonathan Sprung, joined, as always, by the Deucey Moose himself, SFL CEO, Zach Stanley.
It's lovely to spend 2 days in a row with you, Donald.
Is it really that lovely, though?
I don't really care about the man to my left as much, but I just wanted to give you a compliment.
Speaking of someone who we're not excited to be sitting next to for 2 days in a row, SFL COO, Mr. Seth Young.
I just came back from Estonia. It was a wonderful little trip.
How do you manage to go on these trips in like
24 hours?
Yeah.
I'm racking up the frequent flyer miles, and I had an invitation to a private event in Estonia where I played basketball against Arvydas Sabonis, who's Lithuanian.
I was going to say, is he even from Estonia?
It was a great game. I beat him in a one-on-one contest. I just dribbled through his legs.
I can't imagine you possibly doing that.
You know Arvydas Sabonis is the laser, right?
I don't know what that means.
You ever seen his shots? He shoots them on a straight line at the basket.
That's because he's about 12 feet tall.
He might actually be. I can't believe you're going off on an Arvydas Sabonis tangent to start the day. It's better than talking about the near frigid temperatures we're dealing with yet again.
I played you in 21 the other day. It was miserable.
I don't talk about this.
Yeah, we're not ever talking about
I may never
basketball.
play you in 21 again just because the competition is so poor.
You know what? You better wait until I get my game up.
This is very true.
I don't know when that's going to happen.
It was pretty piss poor. But you know what isn't piss poor? NBA Daily Fantasy on StarFantasyLeagues.com.
Great segue, John.
I know. I try. I try to bring you out of your terrible downward spiral of a segment.
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
Yeah, tomorrow is the big Wednesday. We're going to break down tomorrow's lineups, today's lineups, and we got Donald's mailbag. What's better than that?
Mailbag.
Nothing better.
John,
You're listening to the Star Fantasy League Show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
All right, nice open, guys.
Safety, safety, safety.
Nick Monsanto is proud to present the Star Fantasy League Show. Feel free to tweet the show at SFL Show. Let's do this. Time for your Star Fantasy League's NBA Fantasy Lineup Breakdown.
You're up.
We are back, and it's time to break down our Tuesday, Monday, Wednesday. We're doing this every day now. We're doing Monday through Friday on the Star Fantasy League Show. I forget what day it is.
It's fantastic. I love being on every day. Well, most every day. And making fun of Seth's lineups is probably my favorite time of the day.
That is
I've
true.
had some winners, as a matter of fact.
Oh, you say you're starting to get pompous,
I
aren't
have
you?
to tell you, my lineup last night was a huge winner.
It was your first winner ever, I think.
No, it wasn't. It was like my third winner.
All right.
Out of 5 or 6
Seth,
tries.
getting over 200 fantasy points doesn't mean you're a winner.
No, he did. He did really well last night. I'll give him that. On StarFantasyLeagues.com, getting around 250 is usually gonna get
That's
you
a
up
good
at the
score.
top. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and take a big leap and say he took Bradley Beal again tonight.
Oh no,
I didn't take Bradley Beal last night, but I did take him tonight.
Oh,
He didn't play last night,
Yeah, that's true.
so I don't
Would
know
you
how
like
that
to
would
hear
be
about my
possible.
lineup?
I would like to hear it.
Okay,
Fine.
we're breaking down Seth's lineup on StarFantasyLeagues.com. For those who don't listen, first off, why don't you listen? You probably should be listening more. You're going to listen
How
more.
about we're
right?
live in Rochester right now?
This is true. If you're listening for the first time in Rochester, we're going to break this down for you. You get a $100,000 salary cap, 2 guards, 2 forwards, 2 centers, 2 utility. That's any player you want. Got to stay under the $100,000 salary cap. You get the most points, you win the most money. Easy game, right?
You can play every day. Your score is final at the end of the night. Whether you win or you lose, you can play again tomorrow.
So I want to tell you about some guys that I drafted on my team at
Wait, hold
StarFantasyLeagues.com
on.
tonight.
How are you going to tell us about them if you don't know who they are? You just
that's-
randomly picked them around.
You know, I'm sort of getting to that because I drafted
Oh,
somebody
good. Oh,
who
good.
I'm not entirely sure really who he is, but I heard you guys talking about him last night. Kent Bazemore. Tell me about Kent Bazemore and why I drafted him. I know he's at the minimum. I know he's on the Lakers, and I know that the Lakers are sort of just having a lot of upheaval on their lineup right now. Tell me about this guy.
Kent Bazemore is a guy who was looked at as a big talent coming into the NBA. He didn't get to produce, but he also didn't get that much time on Golden State.
I don't even think he played any minutes. It's
and
garbage time.
I think when the Lakers made this trade, they knew they were getting a guy that could potentially have a future for them, and they're giving him the minutes right now.
They are definitely giving him the minutes. He started the other night. He did pretty well. He got, I believe, 18 points, 4 rebounds, something like that.
Yeah, and so far tonight he's doing really well.
I was the one screaming Kent Bazemore yesterday because I was big on him. Ended up not putting him in one of my lineups for some strange reason. I think I had too much money to do
And
it.
he was at the bottom of the well today in salary. I think you had to have him in today.
Anytime you can get a guy for the minimum or near minimum who you know is going to go between 15 and 20 points guaranteed fantasy points, you have to put him in your lineup because that allows you to build your big guys in there.
Yes,
Very well done.
I started from the bottom today. I took your advice and went with Kent Bazemore.
But I love that you don't know who he is. That's my favorite.
I have no idea who he is.
I know what in daily
now
fantasy.
I know who he is.
In daily fantasy, because you're not dealing with season long where you draft your teams and you kind of stay to the top 12, top 14 players. You're getting a lot of these bottom guys. You're like, you know what? Give me a run. Let's see what he does. You might not know. It's a risk.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different Twitter handles that you can follow to find out about who's going to play, who's going to sit. There's a bunch of different websites that you can look at for information. And if you put in your research, you can win at this game.
You can.
As is evident by my track record right now. I mean, I'm a complete novice. At
Well, the
fantasy
progress
basketball.
that you have made, I will say, is significant.
Well,
but-
you're getting on the job training being on the Star Fantasy League show.
Yeah,
You're
much
certainly
credit to
being
the show.
immersed in it.
So let me tell you about another guy who I'm not sure why I drafted him. But
Oh,
I did.
again,
And I
good.
want you to tell me whether or not you think this is a good pick, and that's Wilson Chandler. What do you think of him tonight? You know anything about the guy?
Of course we did. You're asking us if we know who Mr. Neck Tattoo himself. Of course we know who
Wilson
Chandler is.
Chandler came back from overseas, and he finally started playing again, and it looked like he was going to have a decent season, and he has been tumbling lately.
He's middling.
Yeah,
he doesn't
he can't fill many of the stat columns. He's a point, sometimes rebound guy. He likes to shoot a fair amount of threes.
And
He
he
doesn't
plays a lot.
contribute.
He
Yeah,
plays a lot.
Yeah, he doesn't contribute much else.
He's the exact opposite of a guy like James Johnson, who isn't getting the minutes in Memphis, but when he does, he's putting up like 8 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. But you're like, if he got the minutes that Wilson Chandler got in Denver, he'd be like a 45 fantasy point a night guy.
Well, that's why some of these teams end up trading these players because they have other holes that they can fill, and there are other teams that find these players desirable.
Memphis at that position, I feel like is fine. They don't really need to do much, but just please stop putting Tayshaun Prince in there.
So let me get into the studs that I have in my lineup. One of them was your pick of the night last night, and that's Kyle Lowry, who is playing against Kyrie Irving, who you guys said is not a good defender.
That is an
Hey,
understatement.
my pick of the night for tonight was Harden.
Yeah, his pick of the Lowry was the other night.
That's right.
Yeah, James Harden was Zach's pick of the night for today.
Kyle Lowry's been killing it in fantasy,
That's
especially StarFantasyLeagues.com. And I felt like, for all the stuff that you were saying about Kyrie Irving and the Cavs defense, that he was kind of a must-have in my lineup tonight.
Yeah, he's really been torching Kyrie Irving pretty much every time they play, which is no surprise given Kyrie's ability to defend. But he hasn't started off that well tonight. I think he'll round out well, though. He always does.
He did I think the last time that you picked him as your player of the day, he started out really slow and ended with like 45 points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not unexpected.
Yeah, he's a guy that can have a really big second half. He can fill all the columns.
I feel like there were 4 big point guards to go with today, and I actually ended up going with 2 different ones. I went with Lillard and Harden.
Harden's shooting guard.
What?
Harden's a shooting guard.
Oh, my apologies.
But Goran Dragic was somebody to look at tonight.
There you go. That's the other one.
Lowry was somebody to look at. So, yeah.
So I went along with my lineup, and I took a look at centers and power forwards and who was for value there, because I have some pretty big players left. I put in Elton Brand tonight because I know that he's been getting the start down in Atlanta because everybody's injured down there, and it seemed like he had a favorable matchup. So I stuck him in there. He was priced pretty low at StarFantasyLeagues.com. So what do you think of that?
Awful. Horrible. What favorable matchup were you looking at?
I'm not going to criticize this one too much, actually.
Oh, my.
This is a guy that could potentially get 40 minutes tonight based on who he has to go up against, which means at his salary he could produce enough to pay off.
That's what I thought. I figured.
I don't have him in. I'm just saying.
How could you get a step on Noah?
He's the only big guy, right? He's the only big guy on that team playing against the Bulls.
Yeah, most likely.
Somebody's got to defend Noah, so you figure it's got to be this guy.
Yeah, he's defending, and that doesn't mean he's going to get a step on. You actually think he's going to see any offensive touches when he has Noah down low guarding him?
I suppose that remains to be seen.
I think it's definitely possible that he could make value. I'm not saying if you're looking at the salary and you're saying he can make value on the salary, which in my opinion is 2.5 times the salary, meaning if he was a salary of $7,000, you think of it as a salary of $7,000.
Yeah.
And you'd be looking at, 17, 18 points.
Well, yeah.
And I think he could easily do that tonight.
On that same note, for almost the same salary, Mike Scott, who was supposed to be starting, didn't start. DeMarre Carroll started at power forward today. But Mike Scott, already off the bench, not at halftime, has 12.25 fantasy points. He's the same price. I would have liked him much more in that position. Much more.
That is something I will take into account when I'm doing my research tomorrow.
I thought you were going to say that you had Mike Scott. I was going to be.
I think both those guys at their salary were worth a look tonight, just because they're so low.
Let me get into the 3 studs I have in my lineup, and I don't think you guys can have a problem with Kenneth Faried, Nikola Vucevic, and DeMarcus Cousins.
How could you just lump all 3 of those guys in there? You don't have a problem with any of them.
He leads the stud off with Kenneth Faried.
Okay, how did you start off with Kenneth Faried as a stud, first off?
Well, he's been putting up some serious fantasy points. He had a great game last time he played, and I'm sort of looking at that.
Actually, last game wasn't that good.
Yeah, he's been fairly inconsistent.
He's one of the more inconsistent players in the NBA. I think one thing that does favor him tonight is that Timothy Mozgov is starting, and I think they're going to rely on Faried a little more for offense out of the gate.
Yeah,
so I think
Hickson's done, right? They kind of
with Hickson out and Aaron.
No, he's not out. They relegate him to the bench.
Yeah, he's on the bench.
He's on the bench.
I figured Kenneth Faried would really get some minutes tonight, and he, when he gets the time, he's been putting up some decent-ish numbers.
Yeah, and that's the difficulty is that Brian Shaw is extremely frustrating because if Kenneth Faried starts off with a rough first quarter, you're not going to see him that much for the rest of the game.
Yeah, Faried I have a problem with. Vucevic, I don't like the matchup again.
I think that's a decent play.
Gortat's been playing really, really well down low. Vucevic has the size advantage on him, but I guess Nene is out, so maybe that helps a little bit.
Nene is out, so
but he plays power forward.
The only problem I think with Vucevic is that he's a little pricey.
That is true.
On Star Fantasy
He's pretty
Leagues.
up there. Who was the last one?
DeMarcus Cousins.
Yeah, Cousins I have no problem with.
Cousins has gone off every time that he has played Dwight Howard, except he got injured one game. Other than that, he has put up 37, 38, or over every game.
All right, who else you got in your lineup?
I rounded my lineup out with Bradley Beal tonight.
Uh-oh, he's high on the Beal.
What do you guys think of Bradley Beal?
He's got a favorable matchup tonight.
He does.
Unless Oladipo gets stuck on him, in which case,
which is completely possible. And I think what you're going to see from the Orlando defense is that shooting guard ranking coming down a little bit because Oladipo is tenacious, and in my opinion, he's only getting better.
Yeah, those are one of the things. You see that they're 26th against the shooting guard position. It's considered a favorable matchup until you realize that Oladipo is now starting at that position.
And there's so many fluctuations that go on throughout the NBA season that it's worth looking at the last 15 games and how they're doing at those positions.
That's a perfect way to close
But not a bad lineup from Seth.
I'm not. I can't
complain too much.
There's a couple we disagree with, but agree to disagree, guys. Tomorrow's a new day. We're coming back and talking Jonathan's Mailbag, and you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
This special announcement is for business owners and leaders of organizations.
Not all cases are typical and some may not qualify. The consultation is free and so is the call, so call right now. 1-800-999-1064. That's 1-800-999-1064.
The Star Fantasy League show is now part of the Nick Monsanto show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now. Okay, fantasy sports fans.
There's a letter in your mailbox.
Time to dig into Donald's mailbag for your questions and comments.
Read the mail, read the mail, read the mail.
Jump in the game. Send your questions and comments to the Star Fantasy League's team by tweeting at SFL Show.
Guys, I don't think it gets any better than that. We should just
I don't know
stop.
what we would do without that.
It's mailbag time.
I think we should just take Seth's advice.
I think Seth thinks that's his voice.
It's mailbag time.
It's
Seth,
not.
you do
It's
know
not
that's
your
not-
voice.
That's the cage man, the voiceover
Stop
guy.
it, Scott.
Yeah. Scott is just, our producer is just taking over today's show. It's fine. He can do whatever he wants.
Especially when it's shutting down Seth with the buzzer.
This is very true. All right, let's get right into Jonathan's mailbag. We got an interesting slate of our listeners who, don't forget, this is people who actually listen to the show who tweeted in at SFL Show.
I keep telling you guys not to tweet us.
Well,
why
guess
would you
what?
tweet us at SFL Show? That's just stupid. We don't care what you have to say.
And nobody cares what Seth has to say.
This is true. Okay, so that basically cancels each other out. Seth doesn't care what you say, listeners, and the listeners don't care what Seth says, so isn't that math?
So don't worry about getting a response from Seth because it would be really bad anyways.
This is true. This is
Says
very
the guy
true.
who asked for help with his lineup today.
That's not true. That's absolutely not true. I would never ask you anything.
Very true. All right, let's start off with Buster Posey writes, I'm so excited to see Barry Bonds at spring training. What type of impact should he have on my already stellar batting numbers? Wow, he is a smug little guy, isn't he? Already stellar numbers? Come on, you want to win one MVP and you're like the biggest deal.
I'm really wondering how I could follow suit with Barry Bonds and grow my head a little larger. I already have a pretty big head, and I'd like to have a really huge head and bigger feet as well.
No, that's ego. If you say you're growing your head, that's usually ego. For Barry Bonds, it means ego.
Literally a bigger head.
Oh yeah, for him that is.
You could probably borrow some steroids from him.
Oh.
That was the insinuation.
Yes, thank you,
That was
Seth.
the joke, Seth.
Oh, okay. I understand.
And you didn't have to take it
Good
that
one,
far
Zach.
by actually saying that. He could call in. I fear him calling in right now.
Yeah, Barry Bonds is going to call and just
Maybe he'll
be
tweet
angry.
at us.
Maybe at SFL Show, huh? You going to do it? No, he's not.
You know what his Twitter handle is?
At Juiced Roids?
Something like that.
Yeah, okay. I was like, I knew you were going to make a joke, and I'm just going to step all over
Thanks,
it.
John.
But did you guys see? Do you think this is going to be a circus? Like, what's the point? I know he's one of the best hitters, sort of, ever, I guess. But
Yeah, I don't really understand why this is happening. I have no need to really see Barry Bonds anymore.
I feel like it's just like bringing back old stars because they're also bringing back at the same time for hitting purposes Jeff Kent, JT Snow, and Rob Nen, who was their closer.
You know why all these guys are coming back? Baseball needs an openly gay player. Well, one of these guys is bound to come out.
You know what? Seth went on a little rant yesterday about this and how he didn't like all these
didn't make
people
fun of
coming
it,
out,
yeah.
and I went against him, saying how great it was that I thought that people were talking about it as much as they were, and here's Seth bringing it up again.
I didn't say that I don't care about it.
That's not what I meant. I meant that you don't care about
I'm just over it.
about so many people talking about it, not that you don't care about it, happening.
I just don't care anymore. I want to listen about sports.
This is the part of the show where you have to say that Seth's thoughts and views are his own and not the reflection of StarFantasyLeagues.com or the Star Fantasy League show.
Don't paint me into a corner right now. Come on,
we are
that's not
our
nice.
voiceover guy's already in the corner. We can't paint you any closer to the corner.
Don't twist my words.
We're about 30 minutes into the show. Seth, thank you for participating.
Yeah, exactly. And get out. All right, next question comes from Father Mohagan. What a surprise. The Wichita State Shockers are looking to start the season 30-0 and have risen to number 2 in the country. Are they for real? P.S. What the hell is a shocker?
What a loyal listener Father Mohagan
Father Mohagan
is.
loves this show.
We love you, Father
Thanks
Mohagan.
for coming out again, Father.
But before we even get into the actual shockers, what is a shocker? And don't say what I think you're going to say.
Well, I mean, everybody knows what the shocker is. But the Wichita State Shockers, I mean, maybe they're just a team that nobody expected. So now they're shocking the world. Shock the world.
That might be one of the dumbest responses. I'm looking for an
Oh, the
actual...
stupid question. What do you
But
want
to
from
give him some credit, he's probably the 20th person to say that. So that's cool.
Today. Right?
Did you hear about the minor league team in Pennsylvania that has a bacon? It's the Iron Pigs. I think it's the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. They have a hat. It's an alternate hat. It's a strip of bacon.
What is the Wichita State logo?
It's like a...
Is it like a bee or something?
It looks like an electric, like... I don't know, electron. I really
For our
don't
listeners
know.
for the watchers of our live stream, we just showed you what the logo actually is.
Yes, but it's not appropriate for air, obviously.
Say the watchers of our lives.
The watchers of our lives, days of our lives, guys. No, but seriously, Wichita State is on a run, 30-0. They're playing in the Missouri Valley Conference. Like,
It's exciting.
they've played one team in the top 25, strength of schedule 112 in the country, RPI 9.
Okay, it is like some sort of weird looking
It's a B, right? It's
Yeah, so I would imagine that has something to do with the stinger.
Well, maybe they'll get Syracuse and drop 2 games in a row.
I'm not even going to humor you.
As
because you guys are
Seth,
Syracuse
Seth,
fans.
you have to understand that we said bees and not crickets, like we're hearing right now after your comment.
You guys
All
are
right,
brutal.
Perfect. You guys don't want to talk Wichita State. That means we're moving on. Judge Judy. Wow, she's written in like 3 times.
She is tremendous.
For a woman that's worth like $1 billion, she really cares about her daily fantasy sports.
Yeah,
doesn't
you got to
she?
think that she's really busy, but evidently she's really into the
Yeah, she's
industry,
not.
which
if
is
you guys want to join,
good for her.
If you guys want to join Judge Judy and play on StarFantasyLeagues.com, start today, man.
Now, this is a good time to say that Judge Judy is not an actual endorser of StarFantasyLeagues.com.
Yeah, because clearly Buster Posey wrote in. Right?
Shout out to Judith.
Judge Judith, shut up. All right, her question is, first Ray Rice assaults his girlfriend, and now Raymond Felton threatened his wife with a gun. Maybe I should expand into sports. That's not a question,
Did you
Judge
hear
Judy.
Did you hear what happened with Raymond Felton? Apparently, this is hearsay.
Yeah,
by the way.
I want to know how this actually, like, how he got arrested.
So
for this.
apparently
I'm curious.
he had this gun at home. He had threatened his wife. They were going through a divorce. His wife turned over the unlicensed firearm to an attorney who turned it in to law enforcement, who in turn arrested Raymond.
But
Felton.
evidently what they said was that he had been pointing it at her at one point in
Sure,
time.
he said, she said. That's exactly what we have. I mean, you can't prove something like that. All you can prove is that the firearm is unlicensed.
And that's Seth Young reporting from TMZ.
I do feel like this is, well, let's be honest. This story is a little bit TMZ, isn't it?
It is. But the whole thing is just unfortunate. I don't know what to say about it. This is somebody who I think could have had a better NBA career.
He
and
lost like 20 pounds.
Yeah, if he stayed in shape and committed to playing as well as he did when he was in college.
Yeah, they expected him
or
to be
growing
pretty good.
growing his game out of college, and that's clearly not the case. And now he's pretty much going in the tubes. I don't see him coming back from this one.
You could say he wasn't really gunning to advance his career.
Oh, my. And your voice cracked on that. That was beautiful.
You could say that, and then you
really-
actually did say it, and it was horrible.
He needs to take a better shot at stepping it up
All right,
with the
let's
Knicks.
Buzzer again, please.
Yeah, really. Let's be honest here, guys. Remember Plaxico Burress shot himself and got 2 years in jail?
3.5 years, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But I think he got down for good behavior or whatever. We're looking at 2 felony counts of possession.
Yeah,
of a
the
firearm.
New
He
York
could be
State
in
laws
trouble.
for unlicensed firearms are very, very stringent.
It's the same state. You could
Register
go-
your gun. What are you doing, man? Look at your career. You have so much money. You have fame. Register your gun.
Yeah,
Why
I
are you
don't
going to mess around with it? And that goes for every other athlete too. If you were going to mess around with guns,
You're
just
listening.
register the stupid gun.
It's a
man.
culture, Seth.
It's so
A lot of
dumb.
these players grow up in a different world, and many of them have friends that they shouldn't have been friends with to begin with that trail them throughout their careers, and they have trouble getting away from this type of culture.
But now they're in a different world.
No, they're not. They have the same people with
You know what?
them.
They made the right decisions, obviously, to get to where they are, to get paid in a professional league, to play a sport. Do the right thing. I mean, should have some people around you that handle your business.
Seth, you're talking about a lot of people that have difficulty saying. I mean, you can imagine people having difficulty saying goodbye to their childhood friends. That's just the way it is.
They always have posses. They have 10 deep that they've been with their whole life.
And
That's
they're
the people that are
and
causing
they say,
issues.
"Well, I'm gonna take you out of this. You can stay with me." Then they basically wind up being on payroll.
Yep.
And things just spiral from there. But there is a character thing, and all I'm saying is that it is difficult for them to get away from it. I'm not arguing that they should or shouldn't. I mean, I think they should, obviously, but it's difficult.
I get that, but I mean, really, how could you be so stupid?
All right. On that note, we'll wrap that up. Let's move on. John Smith from Salt Lake City, Utah. Oh, that's a little strange. Looks like my boy Jimmer Fredette is close to being bought out. Anyway, the Jazz can sign him immediately. I feel like when we heard that it's his 25th birthday today, and he's being bought out by Sacramento.
Is he a Mormon? Is Jimmer Fredette Mormon?
He went to BYU. You got to assume he is, right?
I think the Sacramento Kings are sending a clear message.
They don't like Mormons.
They don't like Mormons.
Gordon Hayward and Jimmer Fredette together, plaster brothers.
Oh my goodness.
I feel really bad for Jimmer Fredette. He's been through 3 head coaches in his 3 years, 2 different owners, 1 GM change. He has no consistent minutes. He's basically not been given the time he needs.
He's been pretty serviceable when he's played, and I think has to be a team out there that wants to pad their bench and have him on for making a run in the playoffs.
All you need to be good in the NBA is one skill. He is a deadly 3-point shooter. He's the best 3-point percentage guy in the league right now.
As the first openly Mormon player in the league, I really think he's worth a fair shake on some other team.
Oh, good. You're trying to bring it back to that now, Seth? Thank you.
You are making me sick today.
Thank you for derailing that. I mean, do you really think that Jimmer's going to just change anything at the end of the season? He's going to end up on a contender. You know it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think he will, and I think that
Miami
will be
has
good.
an open
I think
spot.
it'll be good in the long run for his career if he can get under a solid coach. I mean, he hasn't really had anybody around to help develop his game while he's been in the NBA so far, and I hope that happens for him because he is a great shooter. And having him in the game down the stretch can be a huge asset. Yeah.
All right, let's move on because we need to get. This person wrote in yesterday. Oh, it's Buster Posey again. That's weird. I'm so excited this week that I decided to write in twice. Did you hear that Major League Baseball changed the home plate rule so I don't get injured again? Quickly, what are your thoughts on these home plate rule changes?
It drives me crazy.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
It drives me crazy, and I wonder what 10 generations of MLB baseball players would say about this rule.
I completely agree with you for once.
They're saying it's a 1-year experiment. If it goes well, obviously they'll probably keep it. If it goes poorly, they're going to change something.
What does that mean, it goes well? If I see a guy, it's bad enough when you see players nowadays that are going to the plate and the guy catches the ball and they actually just stop dead to get tagged. They don't even make any sort of effort to do anything.
They don't want to
crash
kill
into him,
anybody.
get out of the way, jump over him, whatever. They don't even do anything.
But they're not taking it away completely.
You know what? I was a catcher in, I'm sure all the jokes rolling.
I bet you were. Yeah.
I was a catcher my entire life playing baseball, and this is something that you accept as a catcher. This is part of the game. You have all the pads. You block the plate. I mean, this is just
part of the allure of America's pastime.
I agree.
We're losing the grit to baseball.
Oh no, baseball is ruined.
There's no grit.
Of course. enthusiasts, baseball's ruined, guys. All right, we're coming back from break, and we're going to talk about Wednesday, my favorite day for basketball on StarFantasyLeagues.com.
Right.
And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
So you're into fantasy sports. Time for you to up. SFL Show.
You're up.
That is right, voiceover guy. You can contact us at SFL Show, or if you listen to Seth, you could not contact us because he doesn't want anything to do with you.
That's what he said. He said it on the air.
I think Scott cares.
Scott's getting trigger happy over there.
He's mad that Seth keeps putting down our listeners.
We need other sounds, Scott.
Yeah, that is true. We're coming up with a soundboard.
I'm waiting.
We're coming up with a soundboard. We're supposed to send Scott some stuff. You know what? That's why you should tweet us. What kind of sound bites do you want to hear on this show?
I want to hear the Austin Powers. Scott! That's what I want to hear.
Don't worry. We'll get it. All right, we're talking NBA Wednesday. I believe this is Zach's favorite day of the week, of the year, of the month.
It's a great day. There's so much to look at. There's so much research to do.
So many pretty things to look at.
I get so excited.
Well,
I get so excited.
Stop touching me.
Well, this isn't the normal slate. We're only getting a 10-game slate. 8 teams out of this 10-game slate are playing back-to-backs. As we like to stress on the show, back-to-backs do have some meaning. You usually get tired legs. You usually get players, or if they're a little bit older, won't play the second night of a back-to-back. So you have to take these into account. This is where you find your most value, right?
Yeah, you got to keep an eye on the minutes. If you got a situation where the team that you're looking at went to single or double overtime the night before, you might want to avoid them altogether.
Good point, Zach.
And that could also change, whether it's going to be a blowout or whatnot.
We're talking about
I'd like to apologize to our listeners for Seth. He's a fool.
I'd like to take this moment while I have your attention to apologize to John Kitna again.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, everything.
Sorry.
has-
Yeah, you're sorry for all those weird letters you wrote him.
We just don't have enough time to get you on today. I'm sorry.
You're gonna do the Jimmy Kimmel thing where you apologize to Matt Damon every
I
show.
have no idea what you're talking
Can I talk about NBA knowledge now, which you did not have?
Yeah, this is Zach's favorite part of the show and favorite day of the week. How dare you step on this?
This is where I learned. This is where I learned how to craft my own.
How about you shut? Yeah, how about you shut up and listen to what we're saying?
Stop yelling at me.
God, Seth, you're the worst. All right, let's start off with two games that I do not think we're going to be talking too heavily about, but we may. So I want to get your thoughts on it, Zach. The first one, let's go to Oklahoma City and Cleveland. Cleveland's playing second night of a back-to-back. They are 14.5-point dogs to Oklahoma City.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, there's really nothing to look at here. The only player that I would actually give a look to is probably Kyrie Irving, and the reason for that is that he's got a favorable matchup against Russell Westbrook. And if you're looking at taking a chance on this, he's the only guy that's going to keep him in this game.
You're not intrigued by the fact that Kendrick Perkins' experiment is finally done, albeit it's because of injury. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks. But Steven Adams might be worth.
Well, considering
a
I
look.
gave Steven Adams a look on Sunday and he failed miserably, I have no confidence in that. And Scott Brooks really likes to give some of those minutes to Nick Collison, who. Steven Adams is a guy that they've hoped a lot for, and he really hasn't proven himself at all.
He's young. Scott Brooks, like you said, doesn't like to give looks to younger guys for the first couple of years.
Collison plays his role just like he should, but that's not to say that you should give him a look, because you definitely should not.
No,
these are two guys that can't put up points. It's the bottom line.
That is very true. I mean, I saw a lot of people talking about Adams now that Perk's out, but I agree. I don't think he's worth a look. He's worth talking about, but talking about in the negative way, obviously. All right, the second game I'm interested in talking about is the Lakers and the Grizzlies. Again, under 200 over-under, 11-point Memphis spread. I mean, what do you take away from that?
Yeah, the Lakers are also on a back-to-back, but you have to say that this is at least worth looking at with how much the Memphis Grizzlies rely on their two bigs. They absolutely give these guys the ball all day. And so far this year, they've played a couple times. Marc Gasol only got to play in the first game, but he put up what might be his biggest line of the year, which was 18 points, 18 boards, 18 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks.
18 assists? That's not right. I was like 18 boards.
18, 8, and 8. 18 points, 8 boards, 8 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks, which is enormous.
That's 45 fantasy at least.
At least.
Maybe
And
more,
Zach Randolph put up 28 points, 11 boards, and 2 assists, and 18 points, 16 boards, and 5 assists.
Yeah, those are the two guys I have from that game.
This is the type of situation with how much they like to give these guys the ball that they could fill the stat column in 3 quarters for sure.
This is true.
So I think that's where you want to look. You don't want to look at anybody on the Lakers. Nobody.
What about Conley, though? Conley, since coming back, is actually they rested him the perfect amount of time, so when he came back, he was basically playing full minutes right away. Is he somebody you'd look at with obviously a favorable matchup against Kendall Marshall?
Conley can definitely produce, but his inconsistencies drive me a little nuts, honestly.
And I think his price tag's getting up there. I think he's around 15 right now.
Yeah, and it's just he's somebody I like to shy away from just because you don't always know what you're going to get. And he can produce in a tough matchup and just kind of lounge around in a soft one. He's not a guy that attacks the hoop all the time.
So you're really telling me nobody on LA intrigues you? Not even the man that I'm so high on, Kent Bazemore? He's going to be starting at the power forward.
Bazemore's the only one.
But he's starting at power forward. That's the worst defensive position for Memphis. They're 16th in the league. That's their worst defensive position.
Bazemore is definitely worth a look.
He doesn't play down low, does he? He's kind of
his value is still where it was as of today, then he's definitely somebody you got to get in your lineup.
Yeah, if he's under 4,000.
I felt that way with him playing Indiana, which was a less favorable matchup. So
that is true.
Yes, I'm sorry I forgot about Kent.
I was going to say, how dare you
Go
forget?
Kent.
How dare you forget? Seth, are you listening?
I'm happy for you getting minutes, Kent.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Kent Bazemore. I like Kent Bazemore for all the reasons
now that you know who he is
tonight. Now that I know who he is.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to hear you when you make your lineup on tomorrow's show saying the same thing.
He has a very low salary. He's at the minimum. So I mean, if he's getting the minutes there, then I think that he's absolutely worth a speculative look.
Yeah, he won't be there for long with the way he's playing. If he continues to get 25 to 30 fantasy points a game, he'll be 9,000.
Yeah, he'll get bumped up really quickly, and that's what happens is you have to look at the fluctuation of salaries and who is at value and who is not. Just because you think that somebody's going to have a really good game doesn't mean that their salary is dictating that.
This is true. All right, let's move to a game where basically all fantasy hell will break loose. Orlando at Philadelphia. This is going to be an interesting game. Over-under is 210. Philadelphia, we've seen since they traded away Evan Turner and Spencer Hawes, is the Thad Young show.
I think this is absolutely the game to look at, actually.
I was going to say, I have a couple people written down.
Yeah, I think this is the game of the night. It's only a 4-point spread. Orlando's on a back-to-back, which pretty much dictates that spread. But Orlando's not really good anyways.
No.
And I think Philadelphia at home can stay in this game. I love Thaddeus Young. He's been just...
He's over 45 fantasy
He's
points
been
in
just
both games.
dominating, and he's really stepped up since they basically traded their whole team away.
I told you he was going to be mad because they didn't trade him, and he was going to go off, and he did.
I can't see Harris doing anything against him. I mean, Harris could do well offensively, but defensively, Thad should just have his way.
Yeah, I thought you were going to say you weren't going with Tobias
And he's
Harris.
a guy that likes to play inside out. And last game, he got a lot of run in the late minutes when it was a complete blowout anyways. So that could happen again. And the same happened with Michael Carter-Williams, who I think is also worth a look. Victor Oladipo had 18 points, 5 assists, 3 boards, and 5 steals the last time they played. He's swung into a much bigger role at this point. I think he could have one of his best games.
He's starting now. He's the guy I'm looking at. His salary is down in the, I believe it's between 10 and 12 range right now. He's actually the exact same area that Tobias Harris is in. So if you're trying to pick between those two, I know one of them's a guard, one of them's a forward. Who would you go with? Gun to your head.
I would go with Oladipo. He attacks so much more, and this is going to be an up-tempo game. The over-under's 210. This is the perfect game for him to really get after it.
And he gets steals, and that Philadelphia offense right now is really, really sloppy, so they will turn the ball over at a very torrid pace.
Does Danny Granger ever become fantasy relevant on that team?
He won't. I guarantee he will not.
He's going to get bought out.
Yeah, he's going to get bought out. He's going to go
soon.
He's going to go the way of the Jimmer, though I'm assuming he'll have a lot bigger of an option.
But he's not Mormon.
Thank you, Seth, for your lovely contribution as always.
Who knows? Nobody really knows.
You're wasting my precious airtime to tell the listeners who to pick.
Yeah, this is true. All right, Zach, we're kind of
going wasting anybody's
asinine.
Time. Everybody wants to hear me.
We're going all over the place. Atlanta's at Boston. It's currently a pick'em, which makes absolutely no sense, except for the fact that Paul Millsap's out. This is not a back-to-back for Boston, so I'm assuming Rajon Rondo will play. But again, you really have to look because he could be a last-second scratch. They could discipline him. Apparently, he took the Sacramento game off completely. He didn't even travel with the team. They said they may discipline him, so he might not even be in uniform again.
Yeah, this is a game that you still have to give a look to, particularly because Millsap is out, and there are so many injuries for Atlanta with Ontic out, Ione is out. I think that both Mike Scott and Brand could have a solid game tomorrow night. And despite a bad matchup, I wouldn't just immediately look away from Jeff Teague. Jeff Teague has taken it upon himself with so many stars injured on that team over the past couple games to really start playing hard and to take responsibility for how they do. And he's been attacking a lot more. He's putting up a lot more shots, and he's still at a pretty low value.
Yeah, that is true. Jeff Teague's one of those enigmas at point guard because he's all over the place.
Well, he is. He causes so many problems. I never like to take him when Horford or Millsap are in, but there's just nobody that can really shoot the ball right now for them.
That is true. He does look for – he's the same with Rondo. Like, if a shooter's out, Rondo will always look for his shot and go for, 28 points. But if it's just Rondo and a bunch of other guys, he kind of sits back and gets his, 6 points, 8 rebounds, 12 assists game. That's, his thing. He loves doing that.
Yeah, I definitely think he's got a chance to produce, for sure.
I mean, how do you feel if Rondo does play? Are you high on Rondo? Because he put up kind of a dud-ish game for him, but he's around that 12,000 range. His salary dictates you kind of have to take him at all points.
I agree. I think if he's still sitting down there, is Sullinger playing? Do we know yet?
He played the other day.
He didn't play last game. He didn't play last night.
Did not play the other day.
Oh, did he take off 2 games or is it 1?
Yeah, well, he's got the concussion, so I think he has to get approved.
And Chris Humphries has been dealing with back issues, and Kelly Olynyk got a lot of
Kelly Olynyk got a really nice run. There's a couple games. The game against LA, he got an extended run and absolutely went off. I actually think that we're at the point of the season for the Celtics and a lot of other tanking teams like the Lakers who are giving runs to these younger guys that they have, trying to see what they have for the next couple seasons.
Yeah, that's definitely something that you want to look at as we get closer down the stretch. Coaches love to do this. And there are some coaches out there that, basically get the signal from the front office, tank.
Yeah.
So you see some other guys getting some opportunities and people coming up with illnesses and injuries that you're not usually used to seeing.
That's called the Michael Carter-Williams
tell me how you deal with this from a fantasy perspective, because that can get really tough.
You have to research, do everything you can. Like Zach said in the first segment, you have to pay attention to beat writers. Beat writers are they're guys who they know. They talk to
they're
the
with
players.
the team all the time.
That's exactly right. They talk to the coaches. They talk to the assistant coaches. So if somebody hears that, oh, this player has been complaining about this, don't take a guy that somebody's saying, oh, he's complaining of back issues, like you said about Humphreys. If it doesn't come out in the obviously on the bigger sites that put like alarm out and say, oh, he's definitely battling this injury. If he's battling a small injury, that's as significant as a big injury to fantasy, obviously.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for season long, you can still put a player in if he's on your team, but daily, you definitely want to avoid somebody who's dealing with a nagging injury.
So down the stretch with a team like the Lakers or the Celtics or even the Sixers, who do you see becoming more relevant from a fantasy perspective that we may not have heard of? Maybe.
Well, I think we're seeing that right now, honestly, with Bazemore.
Yeah,
I think
Bazemore
that's exactly what's going
guy.
on. We don't know whether Kobe Bryant is going to come back at this point.
Does he even want to?
Yeah, I'm sure he wants to. That's a guy that doesn't like to miss a game. But the season is getting so far away from them right now that I really don't think it's worth it for them to do that. And yeah, I think he's a prime example of a guy that's coming into a role and is being invited to actually start playing and getting some minutes and taking some shots.
Yeah, I agree. Zach, before we close this out, who do you got for big guys tomorrow? Obviously, we always talk about the middle. We're kind of just nibbling around the edges here. Who do you like for your stars tomorrow?
Damian Lillard has a favorable matchup. Brooklyn is 24 in their last 15 against the point guard, which is largely because of Deron Williams, who really isn't that good of a defender for all that he does well. Anthony Davis is going to be in prime time tomorrow. He had a back-to-back games against Dallas earlier this year, and he had 21 points, 13 boards, and 5 blocks. He had 28 points and 14 boards and 2 blocks. I think those are two guys to look at. I also think if Sean Livingston is out, which right now he's listed as questionable, Deron Williams is a guy that's worth looking at.
All right. You know what time it is, right?
I'm excited.
It's not mailbag time.
It's not mailbag time.
We already did the mailbag.
Seth, I love that you don't remember at all any time of what this show is, do you?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You don't even know where you are.
Earth?
Oh, my God.
Sometimes I pinch his lips so that he doesn't talk.
If you guys have been watching on the live stream, you could see Zach touch me every now and again. Not in an okay way.
I slapped you last night.
Not in a no way.
I slapped you. Remember?
No, I don't. You slapped me last night?
It was light slapping.
I'm not going to lie. That's a little weird, guys. All right, Zach, do your thing. I know it's time for the
pick of the night.
It's the play of the night, not the pick of the night.
My play of the night. I can't believe you screwed me up. The play of the night tomorrow is Thaddeus Young.
All right, Thaddeus Young for NBA Wednesday on StarFantasy.com.
Daddy.
Zach. And we're coming back. We're closing this up. And you're listening to the Star Fantasy League show on the Sports Byline USA Network.
Who did you let down today? Protective Insurance Specialist is a referral service. Free 800-473-0563 800-473-0563.
Play fantasy sports for cash prizes. Join the top daily and weekly fantasy leagues in the country at starfantasyleagues.com. Now, back to the Star Fantasy League Show with Jonathan, Zach, and Seth.
You're up. We are wrapped up on yet another amazing...
Turn off your radio.
That wasn't very spirited, sir.
Turn it off. You know, I don't know why people still listen.
You tell them not to tweet at us. You tell them to turn their radios off when we still have a couple minutes to talk. I despise you.
And definitely don't listen to the terrible commercials.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're out there and you feel like advertising, give a call to the Sports Byline USA Network to replace that terrible commercial that we just heard.
I'd rather hear you do a commercial talking about puppy chow.
I would love to do a commercial.
No, I'm sorry. Hold on. The one good commercial that's on this show is the puppy one where they do the love stinks and he goes, "Arr, arr,"
yeah,
to
that
the
is
music.
pretty good.
That's a good one.
So we could join that with your puppy chow commercial.
I would like to do a commercial with John Kitna where we endorse the importance of learning mathematics in high school because he's a math teacher now.
You should do like a whey protein complex with John Kitna.
That'd be great.
I bet you can get them for cheap.
We would call it Kitna Fuel. Kitna and bits.
He could sell it to his students like Girl Scout cookies.
That would be fantastic. By the way, did you hear about the Girl Scout cookies that sold out in front of a medical marijuana dispensary in Denver?
I did see that.
Location, kids.
All right, quickly, starfantasyleagues.com. We're giving away $5 free in your account. No strings attached. All you got to do is tweet us at SFL Show. We got, I believe, $1,500 guaranteed prize pools tomorrow for NBA.
Yeah, we run free rolls every night. We have more people joining every day. It's only getting bigger.
Very exciting times. Wednesday's a big day for NBA. Friday's also $2,000 guaranteed for NBA contests. We also are running hockey contests right now. Baseball season's starting soon. We're going to have guaranteed contests for baseball.
Don't forget,
come join the fun of Star Fantasy.
Free rolls. If you just want to play for free, if you're not ready to play for money, all you got to do is play every day. We got $10 free rolls in NBA, and Tuesday and Thursday, $50 NBA free rolls. Today's the best day to get in.
We also have turbo games coming up soon too, which are going to be less players, less salary cap.
Wrap it.
That is true. And if you guys don't know who Kent Bazemore is, you need our help a lot more than you think. Take it easy, guys.